Well, NBL now don't get bigger than this because we are in Las Vegas, and this is a really exciting one because Derek Rucker, we found him. He joins me. Summer League has started, and we have two of the main reasons that we're going to be talking a lot about the Adelaide 36ers this year. Matt Weston, Mike Wells, both catching up with us. Firstly, how are you doing? And secondly, your shopping's done. Why are you here?
Yeah, it's probably a good question. Why are we here? But it's always good to see guys that you could have for future years. It's always good to touch base with a lot of the NBA guys as well. Mike was in Salt Lake, so he was coming over. So I'm here for 4 days, but it is definitely good also to touch base with all the NBA guys and say hello to them.
Mike, let's jump into it. I'm excited for the Adelaide 36ers season. How difficult is it for you to temper your emotions and understand it's still a step-by-step process considering the greatness that Matt Weston has been able to recruit along with yourself? How do you feel emotionally? Are you amped up?
Yeah, I'm probably the same as you. I mean, we're ready to go. I feel luxury that we do have our roster set right now. I'm more starting to think about concepts. And then, like you're saying, we can't skip steps, and that'll be the evolution of our team to come in and start basic and start those connections and getting guys used to playing with each other and, see what the process looks like and where we can go.
Would you ever consider yourself at this point with this type of talent? Because you came over here. Adelaide had a nice roster, but it wasn't this level. In fact, we haven't seen a roster with this type of import triumvirate. This is a powerhouse three that you have in Cotton, Cheatham, and Montrezl Harrell. Did you ever foresee this type of lineup in front of you?
Well, I mean, no. To be honest with you, it sort of came together. We kind of had a free agent plan in the summer, and really we wanted Flynn Cameron first. That was the big one right out of the gate for us. And then, you start putting your roster together with Isaac Whites and Michael Harris. And then, all of a sudden Bryce is right there for you. And he's interested in coming to Adelaide. And it just sort of changes everything for you. And that's kind of where we wanted to go. And what we wanted to do is, once that piece is all of a sudden interested, now you're like, all right, let's go for this.
Matt, we want to talk about how this all came about, getting these three imports, but also just the free agents in general. When you finished last season, and we know it was a disappointing result, there was a lot going on. When you got names on the whiteboard, obviously Flynn Cameron seemed to be number one. One, getting that done, how did it make you feel about the upcoming season? But then two, sitting here talking to you both before this, even in the last couple of months, I feel like, was Bryce Collins' name even on the whiteboard at the time?
His name was deep in my mind, but I didn't want to get too excited and get people thinking that it could happen in case it couldn't. And I sort of shocked Mike when I went over to him during the DP camp and said
Stuff he does to me every day.
Yeah. And said to him, and this is, I had about half-hour discussions with Bryce's guys, and I was like, this could actually happen. And I went over to him and said, you want Bryce? We could get him. And he thought I was mucking around. And he said, are you serious? I said, we got him on the hook. What do you think? And he then couldn't concentrate for about a day and a half at the DP camp whilst I went and did that deal to put that together. But Flynn was a real important piece. It was someone that we spoke a lot about, both sides of the ball, what he can do, and also he's got such a high ceiling. So we're still going to see him develop and come through. And I wanted to build our base out first, which was going to be the roster guy, the role-playing guys that come into the roster, and then we'll fill it in with those imports. But to answer your initial question, he was in my mind. I just didn't want to put him up on the board and people think, you guys are crazy.
You could see what were you going to say?
Well, we did have a development camp, and you're trying to give all those young guys the proper respect. I mean, they've worked their tails off to be there. And so he literally comes over when we're doing the first shooting drill in the DP camp and drops that on me. And the rest of the time, I'm trying to focus on what's going on. I'm just thinking, is he messing with me? What is going, like, why would he do this right now? The whole day I kept going back. Are you serious? Are you serious? Okay, let's do this.
Well, you look historically, and it's probably the greatest free agent signing in NBL history. You go back to Sam McKinnon made a move during his career. Mark Brackey made a huge move from the Adelaide 36ers to the Melbourne Tigers, which transformed kind of the legacy of the Melbourne Tigers. There have been a number of big moves, but in my estimation, my 35 years in the league, I don't think there's been a more impactful move. And congratulations to you guys to pull it off. However, how are you going to bring the best out of Bryce Cotton? Because my personal belief is you lose a little bit of your basketball soul when you change teams like this. How are you going to keep that soul fully whole?
Well, yeah, I think that's the big thing for us is really, we want to be a part of Bryce's journey, wherever he ends up historically in the NBL. But I think it's pretty clear where he's ending up. It's gonna be right there, and hopefully we can help him achieve all of the goals at the end of the year, at the end of his career, and all those things in an Adelaide 36er uniform, right? I mean, we want to just be a part and help him achieve that.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because you were kind of at the convergence of Bryce Cotton seeking more, but the Sixers coming back to the party with the championship. I don't think the last championship has been 2001, 2002. RIP my soul.
When we talk about, again, the moves after that, so Bryce Cotton, and we already see all the fans and how that was received by all NBL fans, not just Adelaide 36ers fans. Then they started trickling in with Montrezl Harrell coming back, and we know the connection those two have from the Big East days. I'm sure they've spoken and looking forward to it. How does Trez come about, and how's the conversation go with Mike? And then when you're starting to think of that last piece, the last key one, I know you mentioned some names to me and we saw Matt Hertho out there. We know you like Gary Clark. We're thinking, geez, that's a high-profile piece. But then you get Zylan Cheatham, a full healthy season of Zylan Cheatham, hopefully. You seem to have nailed it.
Yeah, my lotto numbers all came in at once, right? So, the hoop gods looked down on us nicely, and I believe in karma. But, Trez we're always in contact with through the off season. He has a lot of respect for Mike, and that we were the guys that called him when, he was coming back from the ACL, and I think he was really appreciative of that. He loves Australia, he loves the NBL, and he loves Adelaide. So once the Bryce had dropped, we were talking with Trez, and he messaged me, and he was in Puerto Rico, and he goes, "Does this mean no for me now?" And I said, "No, hell, it means yes." And he's like, "Good." And then that sort of, he goes, "Let's just get this done." And for him, it's not about money. He could make 200 a month playing elsewhere, and I'm not paying anywhere near that, by the way. Let's put that on record. But he's coming because of those, he wants to win. So, and then Zion reaches out to Mike because of his relationship and says, "I'm seeing what you guys are doing. All right, I want to come in." So 12 months ago, we couldn't even get his agent to call us, and now, he's coming to us.
Well, just sitting here with you guys, it looks like you have a nice synergy between you. But how does that decision making and the genesis of I'm going to be interested in this player, I think it's best. So how does that work between the two of you in terms of how the whole thing gets going?
Well, so you sit here as the GM, and my job is to make him successful, right? To do what I can. It's not to sit here and say, "I'm the boss and you got to do what I've got to do." And we come together through Brett Brown. So we're all pretty aligned. So we talk a lot of basketball, and we'll talk about certain players. And I'm like, "I'm not sure. And what do you think of this?" And this where it goes. But ultimately, he has to coach the guy. So there's no use me getting a guy saying, "I think this guy's terrific." And he goes, "I can't coach this guy," right? Because that's not going to set him up for success.
So there's some level of veto power with the coach.
Yeah, absolutely. No, to be honest with you, like our relationship with Brett Brown, like started this whole thing, over a year ago, and I knew Matt a little bit, but I didn't know Matt, and I just think it's been seamless for us, and I enjoy working with him. Our friendship and everything we went through last year, obviously, grows us together, and when we had a clear vision as the year was going on, what we wanted to try to do and change, and how we wanted to go about it, and then things just started to go. So it's made it better here in the summer, that's for sure, and it's going to get really hard here soon.
Well, you touched on last season, and I think we got an insight into what was going to transpire with that team and the volatility in the organization last year from that first spat that rant you went on that Channel 7 caught. And what did you learn from all of the ups and downs last season? And how do you think you'll be better as a result of that? Because they say adversity makes us stronger.
Well, number one, never bring the cameras in early. Okay. That's only during free throws. And I should have known that. But literally, like the whole thing, there's so many regrets with the whole thing on that deal. But what we were going through, we had to storm a little bit. I wish it wouldn't have been public, It was such a new group. I was new. Everybody was trying to figure out where they are in the pecking order. And some of that stuff's just natural competition, right? I mean, you got to iron sharpens iron. You got to get out there and compete. And I wish it wasn't out there, but that's the way our group was because we just weren't quite in sync with each other the way we needed to be. And everybody saw it, whether we win by 30 at home and then lose by 30 on the road. It was very obvious that at times we were really good, but at times we just weren't right. And then, you're just trying to figure out ways to keep the group functioning at a high level. You wanted to get to the play-ins and then the finals, and, you wanted to win a game and keep going. But, obviously our demons ultimately got us in the end. And that unfortunately is the hardest thing for us. And I mean, before we got on the bus after the Southeast Melbourne loss, we were already talking about what we wanted to do. Literally, I'm not kidding. It was like we're walking down the hallway and we're like, all right, look, right now it's fresh. Let's just talk about it.
When you talk about the roster now that we put together, and we're looking at one of the most talented top 6 we've potentially ever seen, and we're going to see how it all works out. Now the pieces are there, Mike, as the head coach. Us as analysts and commentators, we start picking out the questions of, okay, how does it all work? So the 2 big ones, obviously, no true point guard on this team. And secondly, the defensive one. When the roster's now complete and you're ahead of the curve in that regard, do you just start mapping everything out, or are you going to say, you know what, when everybody's here in preseason, that's when we'll use this time to figure it all out?
Yeah, well, number one, I would say it starts on the defensive end, because your team can function a lot differently when you're not taking the ball out of the net all the time. When you're being able to get stops and you're getting rebounds and you can run back, right? I mean, everybody in the NBL loves to tag up and they like to press you 94 feet, and that's where those things become hard, and you're going to have those times. But yeah, we'll have to do it collectively. There's no doubt about how we manufacture and how we look on offense and how we flow into things. That'll be our biggest challenge, right? Of getting guys connected, and then what the offense looks like, and then our ability to share the ball, and keep that ball moving, and then everybody playing off closeouts will make the game easier. But if we hold the ball and it sticks and our shot selection, ultimately, whether it's our defense helps our offense or our shot selection hurts our defense, and a lot of the games that we lost on the road last year, it was our offensive shot selection that, you just can't defend against certain shots, right? And what's a good shot? Bad shot, right? Shot you can make, a shot you can rebound, a shot you can defend. We weren't very good at that at times.
And it seems like the NBL is getting more like the NBA in terms of there's starting to be a more significant difference between regular season play and postseason play. What did you learn from Adelaide's postseason appearance last year in that respect?
Yeah, well, number one, just how hard everybody plays in the league. Number one was just so much respect there. How hard it is to play on the road in this league because of the sellouts. Like, there's real game pressure in the NBL that you just don't see in the NBA or in the G League. That's why this league's great. I mean, there's nothing like playing in Tasmania on a Tuesday night, right? I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's hard. And Scott Ross got them up there, and they're really well coached, and they're organized, and they're physical, and they're tough, and I could say that about every team. So those type of things jumped out at me, and then in the playoffs, like it's just even more magnified, right? That game pressure, and you just see, how people react, and you want to put your team in those difficult situations in the regular season to have them be successful. And I've just got to find more of those situations. We've got a whole new group, but I say that, but I know DJ now. I know Isaac Humphries now, where last year when I took over, I didn't even know my own guys, let alone everybody else in the league. And then the fact that I do know Bryce from my time coaching him with the Utah Jazz in 2014. I know Zylan from coaching him with the Jazz in 21. And I know Tress. So I'm way ahead of the curve with my own guys and everybody else. So I feel like I'm in a different spot, and then we'll just have to go through the steps, and see where we can be by the end.
And we appreciate everything you guys are giving us time-wise, because I know that some leagues just about to begin. We got games to get to, but Mike, Matt, I got to ask you this right now because I'm going through my head. I've been here last year. Mike is one of the most popular men around Las Vegas at the Thomas and Mack Center. Everybody stops him. Everybody knows who Mike Wells is. I haven't seen that level of notoriety except for when I saw Derek Rucker walking down the streets in Brisbane. Knowing this though, because of all the connections he has, you talk about why you're here as well for, okay, this guy might be off contract next year, or he might not have a two-way next year. When you're going through all of that, having a guy as well connected as Mike, does it make it a little easier?
Makes it a hell of a lot easier. He makes my job a lot easier. So, as you know, in this industry, we're dealing with human capital. and it comes down to your connections with NBA GMs, coaches, and then with agents. So it's all about how you manage those relationships. And you're dead right around Thomas Mack. He's a very popular figure.
I just like to text Matt all the time and say, contact his agent, hit his agent, hit his agent. I love just giving him work because during the season, he's going to give it to me.
Yeah, well, that is how it works, because now you're starting to put together, okay, this is how I want our team for NBL 26 to play. Whereas part of your job here too is, okay, well, we know we've got Flynn Cameron locked in on a long-year deal. We know we've got Bryce Cotton, but I also need to have one eye on next season as well after this.
Oh yeah, I look at it as waves, and I'm looking at wave 1, 2, and 3, which would get us through to about another 8 years on what that is with local talent, and then what's coming through potential import wise and why. So we talk about that quite often, and that's one of the reasons we're here, because you don't want to be out of the game, be dismissive to I don't need to go, because that's when you get your butt kicked. You've got to come over here. You've got to go. It's 47 degrees today. It's beautiful. But you have to go do this stuff to ensure you got your finger on the pulse. So that's one of the things we talk about a lot. And and I think that's the difference what we're trying to do as an organization now.
I'll throw one more thing. I like for us now to be able to have a plan not only for this year, but it's set up where we can have a plan for 2 years and in 3 years. And we know we have Ice and DJ for this year and next. So he's at 2 years, and Bryce and Flynn are for 3 years. And, it helps us. We have continuity, and we know what we're looking for in 27, what we're looking for in 28, and we should be planning those things out so that we're not like, okay, just in a scramble mode. I don't ever want to be in that mode, right? It's like we're in rotations or we're in scramble. I want to be in rotations.
And how much emphasis do you put on the development aspect?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest piece, really, to be honest with you, being in the NBA for all those years. Everybody talks about development, and it is a huge sale, but, playing is the best development, right? And having an opportunity to play. But yes, we have to have our program, and I think that comes down to now us being organized, our plan, and then my assistant coaches. We went out and hired a staff specifically for that. We went out and hired a specific support staff too. So not only did we change the team, we changed the coaches, we changed these guys to give us long-term success, hopefully.
Got to let you guys go because we have a lot to do and we could sit here and talk for hours. But lastly, I need your pitch, because the memberships have gone through the roof. They were already selling out last year, the last couple of years. How do we get more fans in the stadium?
Well, we've got 5,000 on a wait list.
Wow.
We've got 7,000 that are renewing at the moment, and I think that might run out in about another week, where then the 5,000 can have a shot.
Capacity of the stadium?
9,500. So no, if we were talking yesterday, if we had a 12,000 seat stadium, it'd be perfect. But that's Adelaide. They love their basketball, and they're, I think we were talking before, they're ready to go. No, the city's ready for success, and it's not just in the next 12 months. What we've been able to build is to be good enough to be around the mark for the next few years.
Well, NBL 26 will be here before we know it. And best of luck to you guys. You've had a very, very good offseason.
Thanks, guys. And again, the success from Adelaide is also coming with the Adelaide Crows as well. But we appreciate everything that you guys have done. Enjoy the week, and I'm sure we'll have a nice dinner soon.
Thanks, Bruce.